Hello, everyone. This is David Stark from WatchOurPast.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Today, I'm going to talk about Spiral, which I just saw. It's from Lionsgate, and it's in the Book of Saw, which I guess is their extended universe, kind of like Fast and Furious presents. And this film, it's in the Saw universe. It's not directly related to Saw, but it has some Saw underpinnings. The film is coming out May 14th, 2021 in theaters. As I mentioned, it's from the Book of Saw, so it has some Saw-like aspects to it. You've got people waking up in these bizarre contraptions where they're asked to make a choice. It's got some very, very gory effects, some really kind of gruesome scenes, and some really, really tough choices that these people have to make in order to survive. And it has a kind of you know puppet mask type situation where the person explains the game either through a video or through a cassette recorder, and explains kind of the rules. So it has all those Saw aspects. It also has some really great actors. I mean, I loved seeing Chris Rock in this film. It was fun to see him play kind of like a hard-nosed cop. Play kind of someone who was a little more rebellious and less funny. He has some funny moments, but he's a lot more serious in this film. And Samuel L. Jackson, they're kind of the two headline stars. They have a lot of fun together. It's really fun to see their interactions, and they do a really great job. The film also has this really interesting police procedural vibe at the start. You got Chris Rock trying to investigate, trying to figure out where the person's going to strike next, examine the clues. I really liked all those aspects of the film, and it has a really, really good kind of opening sequence. You get a few of the gory kills. You kind of learn more about the game and what has to happen. The problem of this film, where it spirals out of control, is towards the ending. Now, I'm not going to go into specifics, but needless to say, what felt like more calculated, relevant, related traps at the start of the film, towards the end, it started to get a little more frenzied, a little less thought out, I thought. It just felt like the later part of the film wasn't as tight and connected as the first part of the film. But they were exciting to watch. They were fun to see on screen. And if you come to Saw, you're going to come for these big, elaborate traps. And I guess these were elaborate, but they weren't as well thought out as some of the kills in the Saw series. And maybe that's because this is Book of Saw. It's not Saw proper. The other thing that was really weird is the person uses kind of something to disguise their voice, but it's a little more high pitched. Like the Jigsaw voice was low and deep. This one, it sounded a little more cartoony. It sounded like I don't know. It didn't really strike fear in my heart, which I thought was kind of a missed opportunity. It also felt like the ending was a little unfulfilling. It ended fairly abruptly, and it did not feel like it felt like it ended a little too fast. I really, really liked the start of the film, the introduction, kind of learning about the characters, and so to have the film end fairly quickly left me on a little bit of a sour note. You can see it in theaters and let me know what you think. But it just didn't seem to have the same care towards the back half of the film as it had towards the first half of the film. Another thing that it felt a little odd about this movie is it felt like the Saw aspects of it were bolted on. I mean, I know that this relates into the Saw universe and it has references to the previous films, but it didn't feel like the Spiral needed those. It felt like Spiral could have kind of stood on its own, could have been its own film franchise, similar to Seven, or at least its own film proper that could have spawned the franchise, but it could have been similar to like Seven, a really interesting, well thought out serial killer type film. And Spiral just felt like it could have been that, but then they bolted on these Saw references and these lines about the old movies that it just didn't feel like they all connected. It felt like they were added on to give Spiral the name recognition, the Saw brand that I imagine that the studio thought it needed. I think this film could have stood on its own. I understand why they added all the Saw branding. I mean, it's a huge franchise. I'm sure the film is going to do well, but I really liked Chris Rock's character. I liked the buildup. I liked the police procedural aspects about it. It felt like this movie could have been its own independent film, and it didn't need to have all the Saw aspects of it, for good and bad. I mean, there were good Saw aspects. I liked the elaborate traps and things like that. The things that the Saw universe is known for. But overall, with this film, you've got, a really great cast, a really great build up and introduction. You've got the gore that Saw is known for. You've got the traps that Saw is known for. There's a lot to like about this movie. But what you also have is a film that seems to kind of devolve towards the end and leave you with something that was not as fulfilling as I thought. I would have liked to have an ending that tied everything up together and maybe gave you more of a resolution. But it is what it is. If you go and see it, I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be a fun experience. But it feels like this film could have been so much more. I think that's what I wish that this film had more to it than it has. But that being said, it's great to have a film back in the movie. It's great to see the Saw franchise revived. It's been a while, so it was really fun to be back in this world and to see Chris Rock on screen in a more kind of serious role. So that's Spiral. It's available in theaters on May 14th, 2021. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot to make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.